Hello there, Sully here, the retired tanker anchor. Welcome to Transitions. Remember, hit that subscribe button and be sure to like and share this video. Well, my last video was basically called Best Laid Plans. So I guess this one's going to be called Much Ado About Nothing. This is the third and hopefully the last video I'm going to make on the subject of COPPA. Well, unless you just finished a long prison stretch, you probably are aware that come January 1st of 2020, there's some changes coming up to YouTube where you have to designate whether or not your content is directed to children or not directed to children. And this has caused a lot of consternation among YouTube creators, myself included. Well, it was Winston Churchill who said, "A lie travels halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to put its pants on." So hopefully I'm going to shed light on the truth here. First of all, I'm going to advise you to visit www.ftc.gov and check out the Federal Trade Commission's website. And I'm going to have on there a recap of what's going on with COPPA. I mean, one of the big concerns that people have is, will my channel be taken down or demonetized because of COPPA? Well, the short answer to that is not necessarily. If your content is directed at children, then there are certain guidelines that you're going to have to comply by. But a lot of people are worried that, they post content which is not necessarily directed at children, but children under the age of 13 might want to watch. Well, one of the things that YouTube has noted in its guidelines as to what they consider directed at children, they left out one salient point, and that is that we recognize that some creators post content which is appealing to a broad segment of the population and to viewers of all ages. So while your content may not necessarily be directed at children, children might want to watch it. Okay, now I've stated in the past that if you have a child under the age of 13 who watches videos on YouTube, you're the parent of such a child, it's my sincere hope that you're monitoring what they're doing. I mean, if you're not a very responsible parent. Yeah, that's easy for you to say, Sully. You don't have any kids. Actually, I spent about 8 years of my life supervising teenagers. Okay, they were usually aged between 14 and 18, but at that age the kids can start experimenting. They become rebellious, especially the kids that I had to care for because they were all in court placement. Yes, I wasn't always a truck driver. But my point is, the only way you're going to get nailed under COPPA is if that you are posting content which you say is not directed at children, and your content actually is directed at children. Okay, the YouTube algorithm might filter that out. Well, YouTube claims that every minute they get nearly 400 hours of video uploaded. The Federal Trade Commission is not going to do anything special for YouTube. Their regulations, their guidelines are exactly the same as anybody who would be, say, sponsoring a website. Okay, they're going to look at the content not based on the platform you're distributing it, but the content itself. Another thing is the Federal Trade Commission will not be using an algorithm. They are going to be using human beings. And that doesn't mean they're going to have somebody that's going to sit there and watch every single YouTube video, because quite frankly they can't. I mean, it would require a federal budget larger than the Pentagon for the Federal Trade Commission to do that, and they quite frankly don't have the funds, they don't have the staff to do that. The FTC does other things besides monitor internet content. I mean, if you have a consumer complaint, if you're being scammed, if you keep getting these scam phone calls, if somebody calls you up and says, we're from the IRS and you owe us money, and if you don't pay it right now, you're going to be arrested. The FTC is the government agency that has oversight over such consumer complaints. If you have a consumer complaint about a product, if you think some false advertising is taking place, who do you take it to? You take it to the Federal Trade Commission, at least here in the United States. I don't know how it is in other countries, but I'm sure other countries have their own way of looking at things. The trouble is, for overseas content creators, YouTube operates in the United States and therefore subject to United States law. So you have to be in compliance with United States law. Now, if the content is shown in other countries, it then becomes subject to their laws, but the country might have different ways of preventing such content to be disseminated. Now, we've spoken about the 9 points that the FTC has established for YouTube to determine if the content is directed to children. And one of the things included in there is competent and reliable empirical evidence about the age of the audience. But some people say, well, that's vague. And what they're saying is just because your video has bright colors or animated characters doesn't necessarily mean you're automatically covered by COPPA. Because, quite frankly, you see a lot of gaming channels on there which are adults. You see a lot of people who restore old die-cast cars, which we all played with when we were kids. I mean, I had matchboxes all over the place, and I wish I still had them. But there's a lot of channels out there where fellas restore these things, and they're all adults, and I'm assuming that the people who watch those channels are adults too. But I think what people are seeing is the amount of fine, and they're saying, well, if I get flagged, I'm going to have to pay a $42,530 fine. Not necessarily so, because one of the things the FTC does is it determines how much you can afford to pay if you are, in fact, found in violation. That doesn't mean they're automatically going to hit a rubber stamp and fine you $42,530. That is the maximum amount of the fine. The fine could be $1. I mean, but what's going to trigger an event like that? Well, YouTube is going to use their algorithm to try to catch people who are cheating. And if people are cheating, they deserve to be caught. But if you put something up and the YouTube algorithm mistakenly says, well, this content is directed at children, when it actually is not, you have a right to appeal. But the thing to keep in mind is that the Federal Trade Commission does recognize that there is content posted on YouTube which the creator is directing at an adult audience, but it does have appeal to children. That's going to be taken into consideration, and chances are it won't raise a red flag. Of course, remember, you have to allow good taste and common sense to be the judge, okay? And you have to have your own common sense and your own good taste. I mean, that should go without saying if you're a content creator. Another thing that has people all abuzz is the changes in the terms of service that are going to take place on December 10th. Because apparently YouTube has stated that if a channel has content which they deem to be no longer commercially viable, they're going to take your channel down. So what does that mean? If you're not monetized, if you're not making money, you know, by strict definition, that's not commercially viable. So YouTube wants to take away the opportunity for you to start a channel, to grow a channel, to build a channel, to start making money at a channel. Right? Wrong. YouTube is not going to take your channel down, people, simply because you only have a few subscribers or you're not making any money at it. Oh, well, it's not commercially viable. I mean, they have probably 90% of YouTube creators are uploading material that is not monetized. Well, I think what YouTube is talking about is that there are creators that don't post anything. They might have made 1 or 2 videos a long time ago, and it's still on the platform. What they are saying is that they reserve the right to remove that content. Because, let's face it, the videos that we make, that YouTube shows, have to be stored on their servers. And if there's people like me who aren't rich with subscribers, who aren't getting as many views as we'd like to get, they still are hanging on to that. Because I am actively uploading videos. I think since I started this thing, I've uploaded over 160 videos. And they're all still there. And the nice thing is I get to go back and look at the ones I did in the beginning and see just how pathetic it was then. But there's a lot of people that think, oh, hey, all I got to do is start posting videos on YouTube and I'm going to make money. So they get out their phone, they take a video, upload it, and think, hey, that's it, I'm going to get rich. That's the type of content that they're going to be considering when they say not commercially viable or no longer commercially viable. And the thing is, it's not you will, it's not an absolute. It is we may, or we reserve the right to remove this content. Because quite frankly, if people aren't uploading to the service, there's a lot of people out there who are. People like me, who are still trying to build a channel. So I guess in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say here is we're overreacting, people. We're getting worried about something that probably is not going to happen. I'm very confident that the changes that are coming into YouTube's term of service is not going to be the death of people who are trying to start a channel, who are trying to build a channel. And there are lots of videos out there posted by lawyers, people who know these things, who speak legalese, who understand that this is actually what's taking place and that people are overreacting. People are just getting part of the story. They're not getting the whole story. They're reacting to lies, they're reacting to rumors, they're reacting to fake news. And quite frankly, we need to calm down a little bit. Those of us who are working hard to build a channel, we're not going to suffer. Maybe this will help us. Getting rid of some of that content in the server because somebody hasn't uploaded a video in a year. And hey, face it, people die. There may be a content creator who dies and people are saying, hey, where did this guy's content go? You know, if there's nobody there to take it down. It's just like Facebook friends. I have a friend who passed away a couple years ago and her Facebook page is still up there. And I still even get notifications when it's her birthday. Which is kind of bittersweet to me because she was my girlfriend for a while too, and I was very much in love with her. And even after we ended our romantic relationship, we still were the best of friends. And I still love her, even though she's been gone 2 years now. But that's a subject for another video, I guess. Don't worry about it, people. Your channel isn't going anywhere. Unless, of course, you're not uploading content. And all I'm saying is understand what COPPA is and understand what it is that you're putting up there. I mean, if you put up a video that you say this is intended for adults, this is not intended for children, this is not directed towards children, and it's about the baby sharks. But then again, there is a gray area. And remember that it's not YouTube who has the final say in this, it's the Federal Trade Commission who has the final say in this. And because they are a federal agency, they are underfunded, understaffed, overworked, they're not going to be coming after you. So I'm breathing a sigh of relief myself because I've bothered to educate myself and to keep looking at things. And hopefully you'll take a second and a third and a fourth look at COPPA. Go to the FTC website. Read what they have to say. Then look at the new terms that are taking effect on 10 December of 2019 and read them. And read the words. It doesn't say, we will take down your channel if we determine in our humble opinion that you're no longer commercially viable. It says, we reserve the right, or we may. There's a legal term for that. It's called covering your ass. And that's all YouTube is doing, covering their ass. Yes, the burden is on you, but as long as you are responsible, as long as you stay within the guidelines, you have to determine if your content is directed towards children based on the content, the visual content, the subject matter, using child-related themes or child-related activities, child-related music. If you're using models in your videos, it's the age of the models. I mean, if there's child celebrities or celebrities that are appealing to the 13 and under set. And they're going to look at your site in general too. Because if you upload an occasional video that might be directed towards children, they're not going to say, oh, we're going to take your channel off, we're going to fine you $42,530. Okay. Just the one thing you got to be sure that you're not doing is trying to sell something to these little kids. Okay, you don't do a video saying, okay, today, children, we're going to talk about nutrition. Here's a brand of breakfast cereal. Let's load it with sugar and has exactly 0 vitamins. Tell mom and dad to buy it because it's the greatest thing in the world. Okay, if that's the content of your video, yeah, expect to hear from the Federal Trade Commission. So here's hoping that you and yours have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'll be spending it in the bosom of my family, going to my older sister's house down in Delaware. And who knows, I'll take my camera along, make a video. Maybe you'll be seeing the Sullivans and the Kirkwoods having a delicious Thanksgiving dinner. It's just ice water, by the way. For transitions, this is Sully, the retired tanker yanker. Safe and happy travels. And this Thanksgiving weekend, don't drink and drive.
Thank you.